It's the Annex 2, the final blueprint of the Trump order that has given a key leeway to India. What is that leeway? Copper, lumber articles, critical minerals have been exempt. So there are certain materials that are exported to the United States of America. One of our big trading partners has decided to give us exemption on that. I want to bring in our guests on that. Daniel Block, if you can hear me, as a senior editor of the Foreign Affairs magazine, contributing editor of the Washington Daily, you tell me about how do you look at, especially when we are talking about, so to say, a discounted tariff. Do you think he's looking at who are the allies, who he does not want a trade war with?
No, there's actually no evidence or reason to think at all that he's determining between countries which ones he wants to be friends with or which ones he doesn't. These exemptions seem to be determined by what goods he wants it to be cheaper for the United States to import, what different groups in the United States have managed to secure concessions. In terms of the other countries, I mean, he spelled out his logic, the flat 10% tariff on all products. And then for a certain set of countries, including India, they've calculated what they consider to be the tariff on the United States. It's important to note that their calculations are not based in reality. But then across the board, for India, for China, for the European Union, they've slashed that in half, and they said that's what the tariff is going to be. So it's incredibly, kind of astonishingly impersonal. There's really no distinguishing between friend and foe.
Look at how he's imposed high tariffs on Asian countries in many ways when we're looking at the manufacturing sector or sectors where America has been trying to ally to counter China. And instead, how do you look at how do you look at India specifically? A 26% tariff, lower compared to China, but experts say even that is higher.
Yeah, I mean, it's lower compared to China, but it's higher compared to many other countries. It's higher compared to the European Union.
True.
It's higher. I don't know exactly where it falls on the table. I haven't looked at it. I'm not looking at it right now. But there doesn't seem to be any real discount for India relative to other states. The exemptions are across the board for all countries. The rates are, again, they've calculated what they think the tariffs are on the United States. I want to emphasize again, these calculations are false, but they are.
Why do you say that? Why do you say that? You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to. So there is an amount that other countries have tariffs on products coming from the United States, and that varies from country to country. But they didn't just look at that. What they did, or so they claim, is that they added to that, they calculated the rate of non-tariff trade barriers. But what they really did, it looks like, and we're still trying to figure out exactly how it worked, is they took the U.S. trade deficit with other countries, and then they just simply divided that by the number of exports that country makes to the United States, and they determined that was what the effective tariff was on the United States. And so that's the logic that it seems like they used in order to get the numbers that they then divided in half in order to determine what the tariff would be on other countries.
Interesting. As India is also analyzing, I bring in Ashok Sajjanar, a former diplomat. With the wide experience that you've had with the United States of America, Ashok Sajjanar, you tell me, how do you look at especially the tariff on India? Because this was one announcement I'm sure that the world was watching. India more so because of the negotiations that we have had with the American officials and administration of the past few months.
Yeah, absolutely, Pooja. I think it's the tariffs that have been announced. They are not unexpected. You know, it was known that there would be some tariffs because I think Mr. Trump also wishes to project himself as a strong player, as a strong leader who sort of, takes action, who on whatever he announces. So, that's what he wanted to say, what he wanted to demonstrate. So that is number one, even as far as India is concerned and the world is concerned. So not unexpected, but I don't think totally uncalled for, because, the way in which the tariffs have been calculated, it is not clear at all. It is totally non-transparent system. And, if the United States is saying that it's not only tariffs that India charges or the other countries charge, but also the non-tariff barriers, then the United States itself has so many non-tariff barriers against exports from a number of countries. And, whether it is agriculture in terms of the subsidies that they provide to agricultural products, etc. That has not been factored in. He just says we charge 2.4% or something, we don't charge anything. What about the non-tariff barriers that the United States has? So, it is unilateral in what has been done. And, all his good words that Prime Minister Modi is a good friend,
Yes.
this, that, and the other. I don't think that there has been any relevance of that in terms of whatever tariffs have been imposed. And let me also mention, these are all items: pharma, critical minerals, copper, semiconductor. These are items that the United States needs, and that the United States needs at reasonable prices. Now, India is not an exporter of semiconductor. How does it help me? He might have put that aircrafts are at 0% duty on exports from India to the United States. How does it help me? It
Do you
doesn't
feel
help me
he's
at all.
spoken more as a businessman than a politician in this regard?
Let me put it this way. I think he has been able to get the whole world against him. He's been able to get even, the adversaries. For instance, China reaching out to India, saying that, we are going to increase exports from India to China. This is having an impact there. You look at China, Japan, South Korea coming together, saying that, we are going to deal with Trump's tariffs together, on all
Yes.
of these things. So he is getting the whole world against him. And let us put it this way, for the consideration of your viewers, the per capita GDP of the United States is $88,000. He is saying we are going to make America very rich. It might become 100,000 or whatever. At what cost? At what expense?
Sajjanar,
He's
before
losing
I
his
listen
friends.
into what Donald Trump is saying, adding to what you are saying here, I want to ask you one more question. I had a panelist in the previous discussion who, in fact, said, a professor from the Department of Economics in American University, he said, you're looking to counter China, and then you levy such a tariff on India, which is being seen as an ally. Why would you do that? How do you then counter China if you levy a high charge on India too? What would you say to that?
No, absolutely. I fully agree with that. And it's, not only India, meaning if you look at the Indo-Pacific, you see that you are the one, Trump was the one who in 2017 reincarnated the Quad. And you are imposing tariffs against Australia, against Japan, against India, all those who are going to stand with you in terms of providing, what you say, that I want a free and open, prosperous, stable Indo-Pacific. I want freedom of navigation. You need to strengthen your strategic partnership with these countries. What is the message that you are sending out to these countries? My commerce ministry, India's commerce ministry might say it is, we are analyzing, it's not all bad, this,
Yes.
that, and the other. This is one way of putting at it so that, our bilateral relations do not get
And alarm bells do not
overtly.
go off, possibly,
Yeah,
within the country
yeah.
as well.